This is Evangelist Henry Walker. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. I want to start a new message today talking about how to have that peace that passes all understanding in this pre-rapture season when the world is trying to encroach, infiltrate so many people's daily lives. But let's go to Father in prayer first. Father, I thank you for another opportunity to minister to your people, Father. I ask you to use me just the way you want, Father. Let me say only what you want me to say, nothing more and nothing less. Help people, Father, to open up their spirits and not only receive the word, but study the word for themselves. And Father, we give you all the praise and the honor, Father, in the mighty name of Yahshua, by the blood of Yahshua. Please turn with me to Psalm 91. So many things happening in the world. So many things are trying to, again, encroach upon some people's daily lives. But the answer to all that is drawing closer to the Father and standing on his promises and knowing that if he be for us, who can be against us? No weapon formed against us shall prosper. But stand strong against that beast system. It's trying to prepare people for that mark of the beast, which we talked about on the last few podcasts. The mark of the Father, he commanded the Israelites to put his commandments on their forehead or in their hand, and how the beast system is trying to offset every one of those commandments in Exodus chapter 20 with his own commandment. And so the mark of the Father and the mark of the beast are who you surrender everything to. And so many people will be surrendering everything to the beast system to their detriment. But we got to stand strong against that beast system that's already trying to infiltrate and encroach on so many people in the world. Psalm 91. As I say this, Psalm 91, I'm going to use the term we, us, or our, O-U-R for us, for all of us as I say this. We dwell in the secret place of the Most High, and we abide under the shadow of the Almighty. You should say this yourself, for you and your family, whoever the Father wants to include. Just say, I'm using the terms we, us, or our. I will say of Yahweh, he is my refuge and my fortress, my Elohim, in him will I trust. Doesn't matter what's happening in the world, what they're trying to do. Stand strong in the Father. He is our refuge and our fortress. Surely he shall deliver us from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover us with his feathers, and his wings shall we trust. His truth shall be our shield and buckler. That's why we have to study the word for ourselves. Forget about these mainstream ministers. So many people run to them. Instead of reading the word for themselves, study the word for ourselves. And if we got some traditions in our walk with the Father through Yahshua that are pagan-based, every one of those holidays are, get them out of your life and follow Yahshua in his feast days. On my website at henrywalker.org, I have messages on the feast days and on those pagan holidays. And also have a free book on the bottom of the message page called Noon. It explains all the feast days. And you just got to make sure you have the truth from the word in your walk with the Father through Yahshua. Because you don't want that beast system to infiltrate your life, try to connect in your life because you celebrate these holidays that have no basis in the word. Check out the origin of them. That Constantine's doctrine going way, way back to the 4th century. How it's infiltrated over the last 1700 years. Like he says, come out of Babylon, come out of that system. Be separate, said Yahweh, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you unto myself, he says. But of course the choice is up to you. You really have to make sure, again, you walk with the Father through Yahshua, that it's only based on the word and his commandments, not the commandments that are coming out of the world. We talked about in the last podcast about with that virus that came. So many commandments were issued. I'm not saying they were bad or good. So many commandments. You can't shop without a mask. Kids can't go to school. And when they could go to school, they had to wear a mask. And lockdown, mandatory lockdowns. You see that? Those are commands that I'm telling you. Those commands are trying to acclimate people to mark of the beast that's going to come, where he's going to issue commandments contrary to the 10 commandments in Exodus chapter 20. Verse 5, we will not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor for the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor for destruction that wastes at a noonday. The world is trying to propagate worry, fear, anxiety. We have the answer for you to that worry, fear, anxiety. Trust us. No, you trust the Father. You trust the Father and what He tells you to do in His Word. 1,000 shall fall at our side, and 10,000 at our right hand. Verse 7. But it shall not come near us. Only with our eyes shall we behold and see the reward of the wicked. See, in Psalm 73, David was talking to the Father about why are the wicked prospering so much? Until the Father showed them their end. Because thou hast made Yahweh, who is our refuge, even the Most High, our habitation. Just dwell with Him, sit in His arms like a little child, and just trust in Him. And listen to Him for more direction. Turn everything over to Him on a daily basis so He can continue that sanctification walk and make us more like Yahshua and bring the fruit of the Spirit out of our lives. Love, joy, peace, longsuffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. That's how you protect it from the world system. Being in His presence, allowing Him to operate on us, a spiritual operation every day, getting the junk out of our lives. And He's using this podcast to help you to get that junk out of your life that comes from Constantine. As I mentioned, Constantine's religion is going to be the one world religion because most believers follow that Constantine religion. And it can all unite around Constantine's Christianity. Just research it for yourself because the time is so short. The word says, he that be filthy still. He that be righteous still. He wants to sharpen us all because, again, the world is trying to infiltrate, encroach upon some people's relationship with the Father through Yahshua. Try to get them to accept things as normal. Some people with their crazy ideas are trying to teach children in schools. You parents out there, you need to find out what the kids were taught on an everyday basis. And don't leave the school system to raise your kids. You raise your kids. They're supposed to help bring knowledge to the kids, but not control the kids. But there's so many people with crazy ideas in the government, in the school systems, trying to attack the minds of children. And it's that encroachment on people's personal rights. But it's all part of the pre-mark of the beast system. Get it ready for that ultimate control by the beast and the false prophet, which again is surrendering everything to the beast. And that beast will mark people in their foreheads or in their right hand. Just like it says in Revelation chapter 14, verse 1, that we have the Father's name on our foreheads. See, we think about His name, Yahweh, we talk about Him. And people have the mark of the beast will have the beast's name in their foreheads. And that beast will give them some power. The right hand is power. But it's not like the power that the Father gives us by surrendering everything to Him. So really, it's all a matter of who you surrender everything to on a daily basis. See, we can't work out our salvation with fear and trembling. But Paul is saying here, try working out your salvation with fear and trembling. You'll be in fear and trembling trying to work it out. You can't. You have to turn your salvation over to the Father. And He that began a good work will complete it until the day of Yahshua. He's the author and the finisher of our faith. He'll preserve a spirit, soul, and body unto the coming of Yahshua. In verse 10, there shall no evil befall you, neither shall any plague come near your dwelling. Why? Because we dwell with Him. We abide with Him. For He shall give His angels charge over us to keep us in all our ways. Even when we make a mistake, He's there to pick us up and help us. And it works out for our good. You can't lose by serving the Father. You can only win. And those of you who have been listening to this podcast for a while and you know who the Father is and all His power, you surrender everything to the Father. And you know that the Trinity is three manifestations of the Father, as the Father in His Son, Yahshua, and He is the Spirit that's making us more like Yahshua. There's a book on the bottom of my message page too called Is the Trinity Really a Mystery? Both those books are free. So even though you know who the Father is in all His majesty and power, we still need to ask Him at times to make us more sharp. Keep us sharp. Keep us sharp. Help us not to be infiltrated. Again in verse 11, He has given His angels charge over us to keep us in all our ways. Again, even when we make a mistake, He's there to pick us up and work it out for our good. They shall bear us up in their hands, lest we dash our foot against a stone. We shall tread upon the lion and the adder. The young lion and the dragon shall we trample under feet. See, Yeshua already did that for us. We just need to reinforce that. Keeping our feet on the head of the beast system. Because he has set his love upon us in verse 14, therefore he will deliver us. He will set us on high because we have known his name. And what is his name? Yahweh. It sounds so strange to so many people because for 1700 years, this tradition, after Constantine tried to take everything Jewish out of what the early apostles taught, it's a shame that it sounds so Jewish because Yeshua is a Jew, was a Jew, always will be a Jew. And that's his name, Yahweh. He appeared to Moses that I am that I am. And so when you surrender everything to the Father, allow him to make you more like Yeshua on a daily basis, bring the fruit of the Spirit out of your life, then you can call upon his name Yahweh, and he actively moves on your behalf. It's an action verb, not a noun. It's so powerful. And so what other name could he have? Sure, he's wonderful, counselor, Elohim, the Prince of Peace, but his name is Yahweh. And he told Moses, told the people, this is my name forever, Yahweh. You haven't known me by this name, but my name is Yahweh, I am that I am. So many people don't want to confess Yahweh, but Yahweh told Moses, tell the people my name. The people told others his name is Yahweh. And so Yahshua comes from Yahweh. Yah is the family name, Yahweh, Y-A-H-W-H, Y-A-H-S-S-U-A. There's so much power in those names. He's going to set us on high because we've known his name. So many people in the world jockeying for position, jockeying to be on top. You know, I think about politicians, how a lot of them start off good, but then money comes under the table, money, money, money. And they forget about the taxpayers who voted them into office, and it's all about themselves. See, that beast system is working in politics and the school systems. Staying strong, especially with your children in the school systems, as I mentioned. And just trust Yahweh in everything he asks us to do. Come into his presence. When you're under attack, come into his presence. If you turn with me to 1 Samuel, go to the left of 1 Samuel chapter 5. The enemy has no power at all, period, but especially we're in the Father's presence. It's the Father's presence that is tormenting people in hell right now. It's the fire of his presence that's going to wipe out the beast and the false prophet and the dragon. 1 Samuel chapter 5, and verse 1, and the Philistines took the ark of the Father and brought it from Ebenezer into Ashdod. When the Philistines took the ark of the Father, they brought it into the house of Dagon, who is a pagan god, half man, half fish, and set it by Dagon. And when Ashdod rose early on the morrow, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of Yahweh. And they took Dagon and set him in his place again. And when they arose early in the morrow morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of Yahweh, and the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to them. Therefore neither the priests of Dagon nor any that come into Dagon's house tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod unto this day. If you ever get a chance, you can read Zephaniah 1, verse 9. So this custom of the bridegroom carrying a bride over the threshold comes back to the pagan custom not going on the threshold because of what the presence of Yahweh did to their so-called God, Dagon. See, nothing can stand in the presence of Yahweh successfully. That's against Yahweh. He's got all power, so you don't have to worry about anything because just abide with him. Let him work on you every day like I mentioned. Please, please, please. And let him point out things in your life that he wants to take out of your life. Maybe some doctrine that's based on tradition that's not of him, period. Everybody that's preaching this Constantine's doctrine, the doctrine is not of the word. So why listen to them? Study the word for yourself. If it means you have to leave your congregation, study under this for a while, and he'll lead you to the right congregation. A congregation that is preaching the true word, non-compromising, strengthening people to stand against this pre-mark of the beast system. Whether you know it or not, this is the end times. This is the pre-rapture season. It's important, as I mentioned before, he that be filthy still. He that be righteous still. There's not much time left. Examine everything that you've been taught that's not in the word and get rid of it. Get it out of your life. I have messages on my website. Wine is a mocker. Study that message to find the truth about wine. And divorce and remarriage. Find out the truth about divorce and remarriage, not based on tradition. That's not in the Word or somebody's opinion. 2 Samuel chapter 5, in verse 17. But when the Philistines heard that they had anointed David king over Israel, all the Philistines came up to seek David, and David heard of it and went down to the hold. So what did David do initially? He went down into the presence of the Father when he was being attacked. We may not get a chance to go to Jehoshaphat too, but that's exactly what he did. They surrounded Jehoshaphat, but he went into the presence of the Father. And that's what we need to do. Abide in his presence, in the secret place of the Most High. Stand against that possible encroachment by the world system. The Philistines also came and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And David inquired of Yahweh, saying, shall I go up against the Philistines? And Yahweh said, go, I'm going to deliver them into your hand. In verse 20, and David came to Baal Perizim, and David smote them there, and said, Yahweh had broken forth upon my enemies before me as the breach of waters. Therefore he called the name of that place Baal Perizim, or the place of the breakthrough. You need a breakthrough today. Just go into his presence. Seek him. After you surrender everything to him, he will move for you. He could move quickly and bless you as your spiritual character can uphold the blessings. So again, we see how David ran into the presence of the Father, got fresh instructions. In verse 25, and David did so as Yahweh had commanded him, and smote the Philistines from Geba until I come to Gaza. That's how you win against the world system. Go into the presence of the Father and just stand still and watch him. Vengeance is his, said Yahweh. And remember, no weapon formed against you shall ever prosper. And every tongue that comes against you in judgment, you shall condemn. So we got his power behind us. People in the world have some power from Satan. It's nothing compared to the Father's power that he can use to help us in any situation. Don't let any fear, anxiety come your way. But say out loud, say, thank you, Yahshua, that you had that crown of thorns on your head. That means my mind is protected by your blood. I only think your thoughts. And you haven't given me the spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. Let's go to the book of Isaiah. Isaiah 41. See, don't be afraid of what's happening in the world right now. It's all part of what's supposed to happen. This is wrap-up time. The Father is the producer, the director. We're just actors, actresses in this whole thing. But we're sold out to the Father. We're totally protected by the Father. So don't let the world system pull you out of that relationship. And make sure, again, that you only have in your relationship to the Father, through Yahshua, doctrine that's in the Word. Not this Constantine bunch of junk, where he tried to bring everything pagan into his form of Christianity, trying to take everything Jewish out. Isaiah 41, starting verse 9. Thou whom I've taken from the ends of the earth. He's taken us from the ends of the earth and called us from the chief people thereof and said unto us, you are my servants. I've chosen you and not cast you away. We serve him. He's the mighty Elohim. He's the one that took a drop of water in Isaiah 40 and weighed all the water that he wanted on the earth to a drop of water. He's the same one that took a piece of dust and weighed all the dirt that he wanted on the earth to a piece of dust. And he is our daddy. He's our Father protecting us. You have nothing to fear except fear itself. Have an awesome fear of the Father, but just draw closer to him if you're ever under attack. And ask him to make you sharper and sharper. You can recognize this infiltration, this encroachment that may come your way. Put it down right away in the name of Yahshua, by the blood of Yahshua. Start using the name of Yahshua. It's so powerful. And use his blood. His blood is an offensive weapon, not just a defensive weapon, an offensive weapon. If you're going to minister to somebody, plead the blood before you ever get there. It's powerful. In verse 10, fear thou not, for I am with you. He's with us. We're not dismayed, for he is our Elohim. He will strengthen us. Yea, he will help us. Yea, he will uphold us with the right hand of righteousness. And all those that were incensed against us shall be ashamed and confounded. They shall be as nothing. They that strive with thee shall perish. We're going to seek him, but we'll not find him. Even those that contended with us. They that war against us shall be as nothing, as the thing of naught. For I, Yahweh, will hold our right hand, saying unto us, fear not, I will help you. Verse 15. Behold, I will make you a new, sharp, threshing instrument, having teeth. Remember I mentioned, ask him to make us sharper, to recognize any possible encroachment, any possible infiltration by the world system. We shall thresh the mountains and beat them small, and shall make the hills as chaff. Wow. In verse 18, I will open up rivers in high places and fountains in the midst of valleys. I will make the wilderness a pool of water, and the dry land springs of water. You may feel like you're dry and your life is dry, but he's going to make it watery. You're going to fill it with the water of his spirit. I will plant in the wilderness, verse 19, the cedar, the shittim tree, and the myrtle, and the oil tree. And I will set in the desert the fir tree, and the pine, and the box tree together, that they may see and know and consider and understand that the hand of Yahweh had done this, that he has created it. So he's going to bring people into our lives to network with, to help us, for us to help them. He's going to build up the remnant. Remember, the remnant is just, in the carpeting, it's part of the carpet. The road to hell is wide and many are found on it. The road to heaven is straight and narrow and few are found on it. If you want to be in the majority, you could have some problems, because Yahshua was always in the minority. He had 12, back to 11, back to 12. He had 120 on a day of Pentecost, and 3,000 the second day, 5,000 the next day. But there were millions and millions and millions of people in Jerusalem for the Feast of Pentecost. So you feel comfortable in the majority, you could have a problem, because the majority is preaching and following the Constantine's doctrine of pagan holidays, the Trinity being three persons, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. No matter how you slice it, you're saying three gods. And so Constantine knew that, but he said, hey, the word says he's one. So we'll have a mystery. God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Ghost. There's three, but they're one, because we want to bring that three God doctrine into my form of Christianity, he's saying, just like you all have. Egypt had three gods, so he wanted to bring that three gods doctrine into his form of Christianity. He's saying, well, there's three, but the one is a mystery. Just go on. But our daddy is not a mystery. He came in his son, and he felt what his son went through for us. He says in Zephaniah that they pierced my hands and my feet. Yahshua said, the Father in me does the works. Philip, when you see me, you see the Father. Believe that I'm in the Father and the Father's in me. It's like an iceberg in the ocean. The iceberg's in the ocean's in the iceberg, but the iceberg gives a form to the ocean. The Father was manifested in the flesh, justified in the Spirit, seen of angels, preached unto the Gentiles, believed on in the world, received up into heaven. 1 Timothy 3:16. So the Father was manifested in Yahshua. The invisible Father, who's the Spirit, was manifested in Yahshua. So the one we're going to see forever on the throne is the Father manifesting himself in Yahshua. There's only one sitting on the throne. Revelation 4:2. It's so simple and so beautiful. To read my book, Is the Trinity Really a Mystery? It'll help you so much. It's free on the bottom of my message page, a written message page, right below the new book. They're both free. And if you have any questions or any praise reports, you can email me at contact@henrywalker.org. contact@henrywalker.org. We're talking about standing strong against possible encroachment, infiltration by the world system, the beast system. When I say abide in his presence, I don't mean you hide out in the mountain someplace. No, you abide in his presence. He'll strengthen you, and he'll use you to help so many other people. It's time to allow the Father to use us to rescue people, even if it's one person at a time. Before we go on, as you may or may not know, this is a pro-life ministry. We believe that life begins at conception. And we want to pray for the babies in the womb. But before I do, just to remind you of some facts, remember, the baby's heart begins to beat at around 18 days, and around 4 months, the baby's heart is pumping about 25 quarts of blood per day. And most scientists believe that life begins at conception. And the College of Pediatrics believe, too, that life begins at conception. So we want to pray for the babies right now. Father, I ask you to touch the babies in the womb right now, Father. Bring them to a full birth. And if anybody's had an abortion out there, Father, help them to repent, to ask you to forgive them, and go on and follow you, Father. Strengthen them to follow you. All in the mighty name of Yeshua, by the blood of Yeshua. He's kept us alive because he has need of us. He loves us, and he has a purpose for us, which nobody else can do. But if you refuse to do that purpose, he will raise up somebody else to do that purpose. He always has a ram in the bush, but he's kept us. He's kept us alive for this time right now. It is the last roundup, countdown. He's doing a new thing right now. Receive it right now. If you need a healing in your body, receive it right now. Whatever miracle you need in your life right now, he is the Father of all miracles. Just open up your heart to him and let him work on the area that you're concerned about the most. And remember, when you serve the Father and you're being attacked in a certain area, it could be your finances, the Father's allowing that attack to show you that's the next area to be blessed when you surrender everything to the Father. So again, we're talking about following the Father and abiding in him and being watchful against any possible encroachment of this world system on your personal liberties. And don't watch any of the news. The news people are telling you news that they want you to hear to control you. Just listen to Yahweh. He gives us that wisdom from above liberally. You're not going to get any wisdom from the Father through watching the news. We only get the wisdom that is peaceable and pure, easy to be entreated from the Father. In Philippians chapter 4, as I close, this is the things we should be thinking about. And so it's this world system, beast system, wants you to think about what they want you to think about, to be distracted, wrong focus. But Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, you can write it down. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are honest, whatever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, lovely, good report, if there's any virtue, if there's any praise, think on these things. You got things that are lovely but of no good report, no virtue. So it's important. This is what we think about. Things that are true, honest, just, pure, lovely, good report. If there be any virtue, if there be any praise, these are the things we're supposed to be thinking about. Again, we have the mind of Yeshua. So say that out loud. We have the mind of Yeshua. He hasn't given us the spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. And tell other people about these podcasts. It's so important. The Father is using us to strengthen us and other people out there with the word that's based on the word. We need to seek him. He says in Jeremiah 29:13, and you shall seek me and find me when you shall search for me with all your heart. On the Sabbath, from Friday 6 p.m. to Saturday 6 p.m., seek him. Come into his presence as he draws you. And he'll refresh you, and he'll give you a brand new beginning for the upcoming week, which starts on Saturday at 6 p.m. So as I mentioned before, if you enjoy these podcasts, tell other people about these podcasts, share, subscribe, hit the like button, and remember till next time. This is Evangelist Henry Walker saying, greater is the Father in you, your daddy, the King of the universe, than anything or anybody in the world.